the right to speak and the right to print without the right to know are pretty empty. So I believe that the notion of open government, freedom of information, the fundamental tenets of the Freedom of Information Act are really part and parcel of our First Amendment rights. I think it's time to open the books on questions that have remained in the dark, on the question of government investigations of UFOs. It's time to find out what the truth really is that's out there. We ought to do it really because it's right. We ought to do it because the American people, quite frankly, can handle the truth. And we ought to do it because it's the law. So there are these cases in which documents haven't been made available to the American public. The American public, as Bonnie noted, is quite skeptical about the fact that the government won't make them available for public inspection. These are records that are more than 25 years old. They ought to be declassified, they ought to be released, and we ought to be able to see for ourselves what's included in those documents.
We have the outgoing senior U.S. presidential advisor, John Podesta, revealing that his biggest regret over the past year while he served in the White House, helping Obama, being his counselor on special interest in climate and energy matters, he states that his biggest failure was once again not securing the disclosure of UFO files. You know, somebody can only come out and say so much, and then they write a book. And that's exactly what this guy did. And he's always been on this kick, wanting the truth. And what I want to point out is just these little details in his comments, okay, that shows exactly why he's not coming out saying anything else. And you can see here in his tweet everything that I just mentioned. And going all the way back in 2002 in a press conference, he said, it's time to find out the truth that is out there. We ought to do it because it's right. Because the American people can handle the truth. And we ought to do it because it's the law. That's where this guy sat on this. Okay? And throughout the years, he kept asking, and finally he dropped a book, UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on Record. Now in this, you know, he knows they're watching his every move, and he was just serving for the president, and he only did so for a year, and he's getting ready to jump on Hillary Clinton's ship and try that campaign run. That's what they're saying here. But what he says is that, I guess you could call me a curious skeptic, and this is what keeps everything in silence right here. But I'm skeptical about many things, including the notion that government always knows best. You see? So he's keeping his mouth shut. But he's admitting he's highly skeptical that their decision here, in my opinion, is what he's saying, to keep this all quiet isn't best. He's highly skeptical that them wanting to keep it secret is best. See?